Dale here, and I have another amazing guest for you guys to check out. This is Kevin Buckley. He's going to be telling us about his book, The Secret Sign of the Lizard People. So, Kevin, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and about the book.
Okay. Well, I'm from England originally. I live in Canada, happily. So I decided to start writing maybe 12 to 15 years ago. And The Secret Sign of the Lizard People is my most finished product, if you like.
Yeah.
It's published. So it's a work of satire, humor. I always have difficulty blowing my own horn about stuff like this. It's a viable book. I'm fairly proud of it. A hell of a lot of work goes into actually finishing a book, not just writing it. It's the finishing that's the tough stuff.
Yes, it is.
That's my 10 cents worth right there on that.
Yeah. So with finishing it, what did you find was the absolute most difficult part?
Well, actually reading my own book, I must have read it a dozen times, maybe. I mean, when I say read it, you study it, right? I'm getting input from the copy editors and the proofreaders, and they're saying, well, we've got to do this, we've got to do that, we've got to do the other. So you keep going back over and over and over it. And I guess I didn't realize that when I first started writing, how intricate it can all get. But I appreciate it. And it was a great learning experience. And just from dealing with publishing professionals, I've learned a lot about my own writing, not just grammar and technique and what have you, but the whole process. So I think the hardest bit would definitely be the polishing, the constant polishing, which is absolutely necessary. And I fully understand that now.
Yeah, it's a lot. When I go back through and have to read mine, I find myself skipping over words, like little words, like my brain is automatically putting them in there. And if they're not there, it still puts them in there. So it's very, very difficult to go back through. So what inspired this book?
Okay. Well, on the surface, it is a work of humor, satire. It has a strong political element to it. Our American friends may or may not like all that I mentioned, because the story takes place in California, and therefore it's American politics that are noted down, that are commented upon. But I don't think it's terribly negative. I think they're commentaries, but I didn't want to get too preachy about it all, standing on a podium and, this is what I think about this, that, and the other. It can all get a bit tedious and boring. So I tried to inject a lot of my British humor, I suppose, dry humor, absurd humor, to soften it all a little. And maybe if you don't like the politics bit, there's not that much, really. I mean, you can just gloss over that stuff if you want and have a bit of fun with the whole thing. That's what I was aiming at.
Sounds like a fascinating read, just from the synopsis.
Taste in books, just like anything, taste in food, taste in people, it's all subjective, isn't it? Really, it's all subjective, and to expect everyone to appreciate and enjoy one's own creation might be pushing things a little far. I tend to think these days that I don't push it with people. I say, there it is. By all means, take a free copy if you want. Have a read of it. I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
And it's always possible that, some people mightn't. I've had a couple of negative reviews, but by and large, very positive reaction from the mainstream reviewers.
That's good. And those are the ones you want to focus on, because honestly, not everything we write is going to be for everybody. And that's something I have to remind myself in writing books. And I feel like every author needs to remember that, like, write for the people who are going to enjoy it. If somebody doesn't enjoy it, well, that's on them.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like you're forcing anybody to appreciate and enjoy your work, whatever it may be. I mean, I'm a musician as well. So, I mean, the same applies to any songs that I write, any music that I write or play. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. But some people, if I got one person who likes it, this is so nice. Right now I've got two of my main fans are local ladies. Two of them, they live together. And to my absolute surprise, they're 75 years old, maybe a little older. I'm not even sure. You would never really know it mentally, but I just gave them a free copy because I really like those guys. And I cannot believe the reaction that they gave me. And the reason I'm bringing this up is that if only those two people like it, I'm happy. I am totally happy, because one of them is a professor of English, and they're both very intelligent people. And so I think, oh, well, I must have written something a little bit intelligent here, because intelligent people actually like it.
Yeah. And so you said you were a musician too, right?
Yes, I am.
How does that influence your writing?
Well, it does. It's another chapter, I suppose, in one's life. It's another creative outlet that is related to writing books. There's a creative process. It's not a million miles different in a way. Well, it probably is, because I nearly always collaborate on musical enterprises, if you like. Mm-hmm. Whereas, as you well know, Madeline, writing a book can be a bit of a solo process to a certain extent. The writing aspect, that is. Mm-hmm. It can be, unless you're one of these crowdsourced type writers or whatever, or which I'm not. I tend to do my own thing, mm-hmm. Sit in my little multi-purpose office here, studio thing, and get lost in my writing, which I suppose is probably quite typical. I really don't know. But how about you? How's your writing?
Yeah, I get lost in it. Mine's more at night right now, because my son keeps me busy, or like doing just regular marketing stuff and whatnot during the day. But I totally will lose myself and lose track of time in my writing. And it's probably like creating music for you. Do you find yourself getting lost in creating music?
Well, a music studio is a special place. Mm-hmm. And it's been special to me since I was 18 years old. I can remember the first time I went into a studio. I was just talking to some of my old bandmates in England, and it was absolutely super exciting to go into a studio. We actually, the band that I'm in, this is really an interest. Well, I think it's interesting. We laid down some tunes quite a few years ago, had releases on a record label. Ooh. Well, out of the blue, some 25 years later here, or whatever it is, we got a fellow in Seattle who got a hold of us and said, We love those tunes, and we want to re-release them on vinyl because vinyl is making a big comeback, right? As you probably know. So he's already got to do the vinyl, a 45, a single, if you like. That's what we used to call them. But now he's interested in doing a whole LP. The guy's actually paid his money. I mean, so he's put his money where his mouth is, and his mouth where his money is. The reason I'm bringing this up is never say never about anything, right? Including anybody who's writing books right now, that you might put it to the side and you got other stuff, you got to make a living, you got to do this, that, and the other. But you never say never. And who knows? I got an email the other day, and I might have blown this actually, from a literary agent. And he wanted to do this, that, and the other, and gosh knows what. He really wanted me to scrap everything I've done, except for the story, and rebrand the whole thing. And I guess I wasn't quite ready to do that. So it could be traditionally published, I guess. I kind of lost a little track of what you asked me there. Sorry.
You're good. No, that's actually really interesting that you brought that up, because it's asking to scratch everything that you've already put out. That's a big step. And honestly, I probably would have been like, no, sorry about you, if it was me.
Well, I think that's what I did, Madeline. And in a way, I'm kind of kicking my what a little bit. But on the other hand, I think that's the way it probably works when you get out of my little circle of what I know and get into the real publishing world, where probably, I don't know whether cutthroat might be the right way, but it's a little tougher, and it's a business, and I think they treat things as a business, and not so much like I'm talking to you as another creative person. I'm sure I know you are. I am. We tend to operate on the same levels, maybe, and maybe communicate possibly better than some of the harsher business people.
I think so. And there's actually, I think, a little more freedom to what we get to do as like indie published versus traditionally published.
Yes. I like that aspect. I do. There is some freedom, to some creativity that one can inject into one's own work, a little bit more freedom to do so, and you're not totally being told what to do,
Yeah, you're in more control, and that's something I like, as being in control and controlling what my book's going to be about, and like what cover. So, speaking of covers, I love your cover. What inspired you to go with an iguana?
Well, okay. It was I dealt with a publisher called Friesen Press in British Columbia. And I have to say, they are great. And I still stand by that. I did pay them, but talk about serious dudes. I mean, they are a legitimate publishing company. Anyway, with regard to the cover, that was part of a package, if you like. And so they asked me what rough ideas I might have. So I sent a bunch of rough ideas in, from images and this, that, and the other. And they responded and used their artists, their designers to come up with ideas. And eventually we arrived at that cover. I like the idea. I think what got me, I got it right here. I got a hardcover here.
Ooh.
So you don't see the iguana's head. And I kind of like that. However, on the hardcover, you get the bonus of seeing the iguana's head.
On the wrap. That is so awesome.
On the inside, I know. Got it. But anyway, I like the idea that it was headless, and it referred to it was anonymous. It was an anonymous iguana.
Mhm.
Anyway.
So
Yeah.
you mentioned the lizard people. Now, are those the main antagonists for the story?
Let me think about that. Yes, they are. They would be the main antagonists in the story. Yes, even though, yes, I guess you do meet them in the story. I don't make a giant deal of going about it. They're basically undercover about it all, because they really have to be, because
Yeah.
nobody really have anything to do with them. But yeah, they are the main antagonists. Yes.
Awesome. I know it sounds like a really fun adventure because they find that the people, like, the world is coming to an end because of the sign of the lizard, right?
Yeah, it's a spoof. It's a satire. It's a response to a whole bunch of stuff that I see on the internet, on the
Mhm.
TV. Aliens have come, they've done this, they've done that, they've done the other.
Mhm.
They've taken over part of our population. I use all those cliches, if you like.
Yeah.
However, I deliberately did so in as much as I wanted to create something that was relatable, but do it from an amusing angle. And to a certain extent, although I'm kind of making fun of it, I'm not. I don't totally disbelieve it either. I often wonder, and also the actual lizard people. If you really want to read deeply into the book, is something of a metaphor. So.
Mhm. That's fascinating. Sorry, my cat just crashed something over here. I don't know what he did, but part of my window just fell.
Oh,
So I
really?
apologize for the loud noise. Gotta love when cats crash the show.
Oh yeah. Well, if you don't mind me asking, where are you right now geographically? You don't have to give me an exact address.
No, you're good. I'm
Are you in
based
the
out of Oklahoma, like Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, and it's
Oh, interesting.
crazy. Yeah. It's getting to like talk with other authors. I found people just all over the place, and it's really cool to chat with everybody.
I'm in Ontario, central Ontario in
Ooh.
Canada. It's actually a fairly mild day at only -2 Celsius right
Ooh.
now.
Woo.
We just come out of a wicked cold snap. So yeah, I'm. We live right here, right in the middle of the forest.
Nice.
So,
I bet that is a great place to get inspiration.
it's very, very quiet. If you like quiet, we've got it.
I do. Well, he's now 4.
Not everybody does.
Yeah, no, having a 4-year-old, I don't get much quiet. And I always love the quiet. When I can get away, I like to go hiking and just be in the woods in the quiet. So It's very relaxing.
Oh, yes.
And
Yes.
I have to have that on occasion to help my like creativity keep going.
Some people, they say like Tolstoy, I guess. I think he used to write in village squares or something. I don't know. But, and like the bustle and the hustle really didn't bother him. It probably doesn't bother a lot of writers. Maybe they like to have all that noise.
Mm-hmm.
It's just where I live right now. I'm sure I'd write wherever I laid my hat,
True.
I would think.
So with being a creative and having your hand in so many different creative processes, what do you do for self-care?
What do I do for what?
Self-care, kind of like to keep your mental health and stuff on track.
Oh, okay. Wow. Mental health. That's made it a bit tricky with our, dare I mention the P word or the C word?
I know.
Pandemic,
Yeah.
COVID.
I like to ask this question because there's so many different methods of self-care, and it's important that each of us have a method of self-care, you know?
Self-care, well, I like to have a whiskey now and again. Pet somebody's cat. That's always good. I don't have any pets right now. Always used to, but myself and my wife, we work pretty long hours. We can't always devote the care to the animals that we used to. So, just look at. We're in the middle of wildlife here. So if you like wildlife, it's here. Moose outside our door, right? I went to our local landfill this year, and I got a picture of, say, I think it was 18 black bears.
Wow.
That's a lot of black bears. I've seen a lot of, altogether, I usually only see maybe 5 or 6. Anyway, it was a whole bunch. I went to the landfill again, and it's just they were attracted by the food. Mm-hmm. I think there was a dozen bald eagles of all varying ages, wow, which is unusual for this time of the year.
Yeah.
They kind of pass through, trying to keep ahead of the ice because everything freezes. Mm-hmm. But hey, they hung around, and there they are. So that sort of stuff is a form of relaxation for me.
That is nice.
And the grandkids as well.
Yes, you gotta love the grandbabies. Those are the best. Making memories.
Yeah, they're just so, they're smart, they're fun. I got pictures of them reading my book, for God's sake. I don't know. They keep a person young, just dealing with the family. But that's been a little tricky with the pandemic and the restrictions and all that stuff. Don't want to ramble on about that. All I can say is I just hope it's all going to end and we can get back to some normalcy.
Yes, I think we're all agreeing with that statement for sure, because I'm with you on that. It's ready to be done with it, with the stress and Anyway, so different note. Go ahead and tell our readers where they can find your book and also find you on social media.
Okay, well, I'm on Facebook, of course. I got my own author's page on Facebook. The book is available on Amazon, of course, .ca and .com. That's the Canadian version, obviously, and also the American version. It's available, and basically, if you wanted to order it, it's available everywhere, anywhere that sells books. I don't suppose they'd have copies on the shelves, but if you wanted to, through all of the normal outlets. And Friesen Press, of course, sells it. I was thinking of sort of selling it myself, but in other words, on my website or whatever, kevinebuckley.com. But I just listed a whole bunch of places you can actually go and get it. So I'm not really interested in becoming the salesperson for it, if you like. It's packaging things. I would if I have to. It's just there's so many other things to do in this life that I didn't get that far. Twitter is just, I don't know what it is about Twitter. I just cannot. I've been on it so many times. I've got my Twitter thing. I just can't wrap my mind around it. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be for me. So Facebook, it has its ups and downs for all sorts of reasons. But on the other hand, this is what I think about positive about Facebook, is that it seems to be an equal opportunity social media site whereby anybody can basically take our Facebook page. So it's not like, it's only for this people or those people or anything. It's relatively easy to go on Facebook and post something. I mean,
Yeah.
if I can do it, anyone can. So I like that about Facebook. But there are other aspects that can be a little bit more negative, but there's no point in going into all that. Uh, yeah, so that's about it, really, when it comes to getting a hold of the book. If you're really desperate, I would say this: if you got no money, I'll send you a free copy. I don't mind. My object is to have the book read.
Mm-hmm.
That's my object. So, okay, if I make a couple of bucks, that would be really nice. I mean, yeah, I'm human. However, I'd much prefer to have it read. So, as I say, I sent off a whole bunch of free copies just recently here and there, Moby copies, and people seem genuinely grateful for that. So
They are. I'm
how much of a
the same
businessman?
way. I like to send out free copies to a lot of people because it really the part that it's more important to get people to read it. Like you still want the sales, but like building yourself up to where people know you, you got to start somewhere, you know?
Yes, quite. I mean, I think it's a mistake to think as a new author or whatever, aspiring author, that everybody's just going to flock to your door or to your website or whatever. I mean, it's not quite that easy. And it all takes time. And if you do have a message, it sometimes takes a little bit of doing to get it across, to get it out there.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Kevin, for being on the show today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's just absolutely fantastic. The chapter goddess. I I thank the chapter goddess from the bottom of my heart. Really, it's very nice, and I apologize for any technical difficulties. But somehow we managed to scrape through, and here we are talking to each other. And what more can you ask, really?
Mm-hmm.